Welcome to Right as Rain Crochet. Thank you for joining me today. This is an exciting project. So the way we're going to do this is I'm going to show you guys how to do the body, and then there's going to be a different video for which of these 11 animals that you want to do. So you'll watch the beginning video, and then you can see how we make each animal separately on the video. On these zoo animals, I used regular waisted weight yarn and a 3mm hook. This is an adaptation of a pattern from Crochet Pattern Goods, and I will put the link below. There are some changes to it. I tried to make it a little bit easier for beginners. So if you'd like to get the pattern, go to Etsy. I'll put the link. And we're going to go ahead and get started today on making our body. So first what we want to do is we're going to go ahead and make the 2 arms. And we're going to use a magic ring, and we're going to do 6 single crochets in the magic ring. We always chain 1 so we can lock it, and then we're going to go ahead and do 6. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 more rounds of 6. And this always makes it pretty hard. Because the material wants to go, or your yarn wants to go the wrong direction because of the way you're crocheting. So I tighten it up, and I will come over to my first stitch. I always try to hide my tail so I don't have to sew it in. If you can, go ahead. Later you can sew it in if you need to. And let's go ahead and just do 4 single crochets. And before it gets too tight, we're going to take this bad boy and then we're going to flip it the right direction. Like so, and we still have 2 more stitches, and these make it a lot easier because we have it the right direction, and now we can get our stitches at the right angle and get them brought up. Okay. That was our final 6. We're going to go ahead and do 6 more. You can use a stitch marker if you want, but usually if it's only 6 stitches, I can do it without a stitch marker. Six. Okay, wonderful. So that's just our little arms sticking out there. Now there's a couple ways that we can do this. I just want to give you guys some options as you go because I've been doing it. So we can either, we're going to sew these in as we make the body so that they are there. So in this mouse, what I did here was I chained 1, and then I crocheted 3 across, and then I just crocheted it straight into the body. And that's their little hand there. So that's the look that you're going to get if we do a cross. If you do not do a cross, then you will have a little bit poofier of a hand. I'll put them next to each other like this so you can see. This one is a little bit flatter because we crocheted it in as we went. And this one we had to come back. We are still going to crochet it in, but this one we came back and then stitched around to get the bottom part of the hand to connect to the body. So it's up to you. We'll go through it when we get to that point. You'll see what I'm talking about. It really is up to you. This one is way, way easier. You never have to come back. It's just completed when you get around. And this one here, you have to come back and throw in a couple stitches to attach the hands to the bottom of the body. So we'll go ahead and just go through, and we're going to do it this way just because it's a little bit harder, so everybody has the gist. But again, right here, what we would do is chain 1, and then we would crochet across 3. and 3. And see how we have it? Now it's not a closed hand, just like her. So whichever one you want to do, like I said, when we get to that part, I'll show you guys both with both hands what we need to do. But go ahead and do one more hand. So we want 2 hands, magic ring, 6 single crochets, and we're going to do a total of 3 rows. That includes the magic ring. I will meet you back here when you're done with both of your arms. Well, I thought I'd show you this too before I go way too far. Okay, so I cut my strings. So now what I'm doing is there's the little bit that's left over from the beginning that's inside my magic ring, and this is the one we just cut. If you tie these in a knot, and we have to go one direction and then flip them so different strings are getting tied together. And then from here, what we can do is trim this up, is what I do. And then just tuck these in. So I picked these little tools up. They're like for bead making from Amazon, and I just love them. I got so much more manipulation. I don't know, it's a little pack of these for $10 or something. So, okay, let's get to the next one, and I'll see you in a minute. All right, almost finished with the second hand or arm. We're going to tuck these in here. What's also nice about tucking these in is that you still get a little bit of stuffing in there, but you're not trying to do stuffing. I am literally into making things as easy as I possibly can. So that's our second hand. Now what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to start with our feet. This time we're going to do a magic ring again, and we are going to crochet. There's our chain 1 to lock it. 9. We're going to do 9 single crochets. There's our 9, cinch her up. And then again, we're going to go around, and I usually go around to about 6 now, and then I can flip it around. It just makes the world so much easier this way. So again, tucking if we can. Okay, so this will be our 6th one, and now I'm going to flip that over so it's not so hard to mess with, and hopefully we'll finish this row off pretty easy. Okay, 7, 8. Something else about amigurumi is to keep your stitches tight, and when it's like this, it is so hard to keep it tight. So I will pull it, and now it's just by habit. I kind of go like this and tighten it up, so I know that before I move, I don't have any gaps. No gaps are going on. And then we're going to go ahead and do another round of 9 single crochets. Seven, 8, and 9. Maybe 9. Okay, slip stitch this over, and we're going to go ahead and tie these together and clean them up. Clean this one up just like we did the hands. We are going to make 2 of these. Now, do not cut your yarn on your second foot. What we want to do is just go ahead and leave that. We're going to attach our 2 feet or legs, I guess in this case, together and work up the body. I really, really am not very good at sewing things on and making them straight. I don't know. I've used pins. I've tied them off. I've done everything, and I'm just not good at it. So what I try to do is take a pattern, and I try to make it where I can make just one huge consecutive piece. So we are going to literally just crochet all the way up here without having to sew the head on, and you do all that work and then it's crooked. And the look turns out about the same. So I'm going to meet you back here. Go ahead and finish another foot, which is going to be 9 single crochets, 3 rows deep, including the magic ring, and keep your yarn connected. And I will meet you right back here at the end of that. Okay, so hopefully you guys are back and looking like this. So we're still connected with one. We grab both of our legs. Now what we're going to do is we're going to crochet these together, and then we're going to crochet all the way around. And this is all just going to be single crochet. So we're going to go ahead and go in here, attach this. So that's 1 single crochet on the foot, the first foot. So what we'll do is we're going to go around with 9 and around with 9. It's going to make 18. And I'm going to head meet you guys back here. I'm going to put a stitch marker in here. Oh, I love these stitch markers. You watch any of my other videos. It's cord. It's called cord, and I love it because it doesn't get all boogered up. See how much I've used this one. This one's it's getting there because I use this one a lot. You don't have to, you can use it for a long, long time. So we got 1. And I'm going to meet you guys back around here in just a minute, and we'll finish up at the end. Alrighty, here we are. So if you guys got around and you didn't have 18, or you had too much, go ahead and decrease or increase right here. This is like in the crotch area of the body. Nobody's going to notice any different. You're just going to make up that stitch. So as we progress, your stitches are right on. So we're on 18 stitches. Go ahead and move my stitch marker. And we're going to go ahead and do 4 rounds of 18 stitches. So we're going to give us some height here, and I will meet you guys back once you're finished with 4 rounds. Once you've connected it, 4 rounds. I'll see you in a minute. All right, we're back. We finished our 4 rounds. We got us some little bottoms here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to, in this round, we're going to incorporate our hands. So go ahead and get your arms or hands, whatever you want to call them. And what we're going to do, because everybody, I'm not going to give you set numbers. I'm going to show you guys the best way to do this, because whether you had to make up a stitch or lose a stitch, you may not be in the exact same spot. In fact, there was many times I wasn't in the same spot as I made all 11 of these. So what we want to do is we're going to single crochet over to this side where we have these 3 stitches left here. So we're going to go ahead and let's just get over to there with single crochets. Okay, so it looks like for me it was 4 single crochets, and I'm getting ready to do the side here of the leg. Now, if you decided to go ahead and do the 3 single crochets and do the flower hands, you are going to single crochet right through the top, 1, 2, 3, and then your hands are completed and they're done. We are going to do the open concept where I have to come back and we're going to sew it in, because that one's just a little harder. It's pretty easy when you have that 3 stitches sitting right there. You match up 3 stitches, you crochet, you're done, and you're done, all done with that. Don't even have to come back. So what we're going to do now is we're only going to do 2, because we don't want that flatness. So make sure you're not skipping anything. Go through one of the stitches in the hand, come through here, pull through all of it and single crochet, and then find the very next stitch. And let's do that one more time. And of course, if you guys had flattened it out, you would be doing your 3rd one right here. So my coloring is just not very good today. Okay, let's try it this way. So from here, it is just bad. Now we're going to go ahead and crochet all the way across over here, and we're going to attach the 2nd arm. And I'm just going to do this, and then I'm going to mess with my light here. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Because I went with the 3 or the 2 stitches to come back and sew, I'm going to go ahead and stitch in this 3rd one just like we did on the other side. And then find a good place to attach this. Whoop. Okay. That's 1. And 2. And then we're going to finish off with whatever is left. Okay, so now we have our arms are attached to our legs. We're going to come back and we'll sew that in. Of course, if you did the flat one, like the mouse, you're not going to have to go back. You're going to be already done because you went ahead and did that single crochet across when you crocheted them together. So now from here, we're going to go ahead and start moving towards, we're going to do our neck, and we're going to move on to our head. I'm going to try to fix my lighting, and I'll be right back. Okay, hopefully that's a little better. All right, so we should have, still have 18 stitches. So let's go ahead and crochet around one more time, completely with 18 stitches. Don't forget these stitches here that we have over the hand. Okay, there's our 18 right here. Okay, so if you are doing the fox, this is where you're going to go ahead and bring in your new color for us to go up to here. So if you need to attach that, go ahead and attach that. If you are doing the woof, then we're going to go ahead and make it up a couple rows. But go ahead, if you're making this, if you're doing the woof pattern, you can go ahead and stop now. And I'm going to go ahead and do a head of just this fox because this is a little bit confusing. And I don't want to try to do this one and the standard ones all at the same time. So this head is going to have its very own video. So if you're doing this one, you can go ahead and stop now and go ahead and find the woof video where we're going to do the head at, okay? And the fox, this is where we're going to change. And I'll let you know when you're going to go back, which is going to just be where we do our eyes, or we're going to go back to the original color, okay? So now what we're going to end up doing is, if you have the pattern, what we're doing is we're going backwards because I don't want to sew the head onto the body. Like I said, I have such a terrible time doing that. So what we're doing is we're kind of reversing the pattern, the way that the pattern goes, so that we get our eyes and stuff in the right place. So we have our 18 stitches. So now what we're going to do is what we want to do, let's move this. We're going to do a single crochet, an increase. All right, so when we do balls, when we do heads, when we do anything that we want circular, if any of you guys have done balls or you understand how it works, you're going to do single crochet increase, 2 single crochet increase, 3 single crochet increase, 4, etc., etc. What you don't want to do is do it exactly in that order, because what happens is it makes an octagon. It doesn't actually make a true roundness. So you guys will catch on as I go of what I'm doing. So what we do is on the even number of single crochet increases, we're going to break that in half. So this round is actually 2 single crochet increase, 2 single crochet increase. We're going to do 1 single crochet increase and follow around with 2 single crochet increase. That is our pattern. We just want to get that started so that our increases are not stacked right on top of each other. And like I said, It makes not as nice of a circle, or a ball, or whatever, however you want a sphere, whatever lingo you want to use. But you're getting the gist of it. So it's going to be a little different for people who have not done this before, but you're definitely going to see this in more advanced projects, because we don't want that odd shape in our head. So what that's going to end up doing here is that's going to leave us, there's our double crochet, that is going to leave us with one stitch. Whatever we did on this side, we're going to do on this side, on the even. So don't get freaked out if you're used to doing it with an increase always ends there. You're going to go back and start counting, and you're going to go crazy. We want one stitch, so we want one. That's going to add 1 and 1. So we have actually 2 increase all the way around. Go ahead and get that finished, and I will meet you guys back here. All right, I hope you guys have 24 stitches. That's what we should have. And now what we're going to do, so on odd numbers, we do not need to split this up. This is going to be 3 single crochet, increase all the way around. We do not need to split. The odd numbers we are not splitting, only the evens. It makes a lot more sense that way and a lot less difficult. So go ahead and do your 3 single crochet, increase. At the end of that round, you should have 30 stitches, and I will meet you back here when you are finished. Back around, ready to go. Now we're going to do 4 single crochet, increase. We want to, again, split that up. So let's go ahead and do 2 single crochets, and then our increase. And now we'll do 4 single crochets, increase, 4 single crochets, increase. And remember, when you come back around to the beginning, you're still going to have an increase, and you're still going to have 2 single crochets, so that we're splitting up that 4. And at the end of this round, we're going to have 36 stitches. Okay, we're at the end. I got an increase here and 2 single crochets, and that is going to work out just perfect. All right, move that. This is why I like using a string when I do amigurumi. Typically, I don't have to let go of my hook instead of the other like safety pin looking ones. It's just so time consuming to drop your hook. I just don't like it. So this is what I use most of the time. Unless I know the project's going to be flopping around, then I'll go ahead and put one that locks in there. Okay, so now we're just going to go around, and we're going to do, because it's an odd number, we're at 5. We're going to go ahead and do 5 single crochet, increase, and I'll see you around. Okay, I'm back around, and I'm landing on my increase, which is exactly what we should do. If you get back around to any of these, when you're doing this stuff, when you're making this, and you're one off or one short, don't pull it all out and try to find it. Just count and either decrease or increase what you need to increase. As long as you're not doing it multiple times, it's not going to make any difference whatsoever. Your goal is to get the same amount of stitches for the next round. Of course, if you are short 6 or something, you can't make that up here because it is going to make a huge little bubble. But once you get to the end, if you're not right on, then go through and count. Maybe you can't increase here because you increased somewhere else, and just try to make it right. Okay, so our last increase round here is going to be 6 single crochet increase, but because it's an even number, we're going to go ahead and start with 3 single crochets, and then we're going to increase. And now we're going to do 6 single crochet increase. And remember, you're going to actually end up landing here with your increase, and you'll have 3 single crochets to tie together with this 6. And when you get done with this round, you should have 48 stitches, and I'll meet you back around. And here we are with our final 3 single crochets. Wonderful. So, should be looking like this. If you do not look like this, then there's a problem. You need to work with amigurumi if this is your first go-around. You know the stitches, but the tension is completely different than you would have in a hat or a blanket or a scarf or just about anything. That's why we use such a small hook. For my tension, I like to wrap it twice. I think it's more controllable When I'm doing a fluffy, airy blanket, I might just have one. But the key is to have nice, good tension. You don't want to be fighting your stitch and pulling it out, but you shouldn't be able to see through your stitches. And then, as I mentioned earlier, what I do is it's just a habit. When I go in, I just kind of pull to tighten up that stitch so that I can make sure, like I do that, that's just a little teeny pull there to keep it nice and tight. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to do 4 rows of these 48 stitches. And after you've completed the 4 rows, I will meet you back here. All right, here we are, 4 rounds done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get the placement for our eyes. And everybody, again, it's kind of like the connection with the arms. Everybody may not be at the exact same spot. So what we're going to do is we're just going to make sure everybody's at the same spot. So let's go ahead and take our little guy here. We want to keep our round connections in the back if we can. So let's go ahead and spin it. Get a couple pieces of just scrap yarn if you have it handy, or you can do stitch markers. This is just as easy. And what we want to do is we're going to put our eye holes in here. We're going to have 6 stitches between the 2 eye holes. So the best way to do this is to go ahead and come in like this, and let's find where we're going to consider the center of this body. And it should be between 2 stitches, not in a stitch. And then we're going to count over 1, 2, 3. Whichever direction you go, doesn't matter. So now we have 1 eye socket. Now we can go ahead and just count 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we're going to place our other stitch marker or other piece of yarn, whatever you're using. Whoops, maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Slide this in like this. Now let's go ahead and just double check one more time. Let's try to make our head look right and make sure that that's where we want our eyes to sit and that we are looking pretty darn centered. If you don't feel like it's centered enough, slip them all over one, this direction or this direction, and get those eyes lined up where we want them to be. And we're going to make this super simple. So now what we're going to do, we want to go ahead and single crochet all the way around to our first stitch marker that we had placed. So let's get over there. Like I said, I've done this before with trying to count, but it's not consistent. So nobody wants a wonky little animal. So it's better to go ahead and just do it that way. Then you get all the way done and you find out that your eyes are on the side of the head or whatever. And then you're very upset and you end up giving it to the dog to play with or something because you can't even give it away because you got a crooked face. So keep here going around. Oh, and I'm so sorry. Goodness gracious. If you were doing the fox, I am so sorry. If you're doing the fox or you're doing the half the head, this is the row that you need to change your color on. I am so sorry for missing that. So I'm sorry, now you got a frog. Pull it back out. Go ahead and attach the new color, which is going to be the orange now, or whatever color you do, because we already switched to the white. Now this round here is going to go back to your orange. Apologize. Sorry, I had to make you guys pull it out. All right, let's get over here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make eye sockets. We're going to chain 1, we're going to skip 1, and we're going to single crochet. And we're going to do that on this other stitch marker as well. And as you'll see, or maybe you noticed in the beginning, the picture of the animals, that I don't particularly enjoy consistency. It drives me crazy. I like things different. I like change. So I use different colored eyes. I'm going to do different little embellishments for each one of my little guys so that they are, they're unique and they're not, I've done sets before where they all look exactly the same, but it's no fun. It's just so boring. You just get so tired. So you got to do a little bit of something. So if you guys, for your eyes, if you, to use these holes here with the size yarn we're using and our size hook, you have to have at least a 7 millimeter eye. If you only have 6s, then do not chain one, just go ahead and put your eyeball marker in so you know where you want your eyes. So you have to have, some of them I do all the way up to 14. It really depends on what your look is. So see, our panda's got some nice big eyes, and our giraffe has got some little ones with a little bit of yellow tint on the back. We just try to make it, I try to make everyone unique and special so that if you're giving them to children or you're selling them in a craft show or whatever, you probably won't sell all 11 of them as a set anyway. So it's better to go ahead and just make individual little stuffed animals here that feel different. But like I said, if you do a 6 millimeter eye on that, it's going to suck right through. 7s are still a little scary, but they do work. I've done 7s, but I did like 8 and higher. So that's just a key so you guys don't get in here and go, oh no, and your eye falls out into the middle of your head. Okay, so now we did that one. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do 3 rows all the way around. So once we get over to an eye socket, we need to make sure that we do not miss those stitches and our head starts shrinking where we don't want it to start shrinking. We should still be just doing a total of 48 stitches. That has not changed at all. So let me try to get over here really quick. Now I feel like I should have paused it. Okay, you guys are crocheting along with me anyway. Hopefully. Okay, here we are. So now we want to make sure that we are getting this stitch here, which is the chain stitch, and this stitch next to it. The chain stitch, we can just go in the hole. And don't forget this stitch right there. And the same with the other eye. Excuse me. And then that's going to be counted as 1 round. And then we'll do 2 more rounds after that. So we have a total of 3 rounds on top of our hole. That's here. You should be able to count 3 more rounds on top of this hole. I will meet you back here when you guys have completed that. All right. So we did our 3 rounds. Now make sure it's 3 rounds above the eye hole, not above your stitch marker because that's a round. So here's the eye holes, 1, 2, 3. So here, now we're at the point, we're going to go ahead and just pull this a little bit so we don't lose anything, is where we want to go ahead and get our eyes on and do our nose. If we're going to do a nose, depending on what animal you picked. So for example, our little bunny here, this is, I would put the nose on now and the eyes. I'm not sure which animal you guys are going for, so that gives you an idea. If you are doing, let's say, the fox's nose, where he's got, actually has an extended nose, or our lion that also has kind of a nose, you're going to go ahead and do these on this piece before it's sewn on. It's up to you, but if you wanted to, the problem is you have to jump to another video, but if you wanted to jump to your let's say lion video and make this circle and get the nose on, put the eyes, and then sew through this, because I really like doing that as well. It doesn't seem to move as much. Go ahead and jump to the video you need to be at with the nose that you want. And that way you can put our eyes on. This is already made. And then you can go ahead and stitch it this direction instead of like this with it all completed. It just makes it a lot easier. And again, as I've told you, I'm all into ease, man. That's what we want, to be super easy. So let's go ahead and get your eyes. The nose, if you need your nose. I'm doing a pig, so my pig's going to have a flat, plain flat nose. It's not going to have these little plastic noses. It's going to be more of like our giraffe here. It's going to be more like that. So I'm not going to keep going. I'm fine with sewing that on, but that's going to be your guys' call. I'm just throwing it out there. So I'm going to go ahead and meet you guys back here. If you want to get your nose done, get your nose done. If you're going to wait and do the nose later and sew it on later like I'm going to do, then go ahead and just get your eyes, and I will, I'll meet you guys back here once you've got all of your extra stuff for the face. Okay, so I decided I'm going to do little eyes on my pig here. So I'm going to do, this is 10 millimeter. I went ahead and put my eyes in. I can get these stitch markers out, and we're going to get our backs on. Just, I don't know if you guys have run into this before. Sometimes I get my eyes really cheap, and like the backs don't stay on. And for safety purposes, regardless, I would just do this if you can do it. Go ahead and take a lighter, and we're going to go ahead and just melt this bad boy. Sometimes it'll catch on fire, so blow it out. Get it nice, see? And then we're going to squish it. And now we know for a fact that eye is not coming off. I don't know, my 2-year-old probably could rip it off, but watch your fingers. I burnt my fingers a couple times as well. And of course, do that with your nose. If you can do this, you always want to do this. It stinks, but it is safe. Be careful, don't catch your work on fire. And now we've got our eyes where we want our eyes, and we're going to go ahead and keep crocheting around. So we did our 3 rows. What we're going to do now is we're going to start decreasing. So we finished off with 6 single crochet increase, so we're going to go to 6 single crochet decrease. And remember, we're going to actually do 3 single crochets, then a decrease, and then it'll be 6, decrease, 6, and then at the end we'll have 3 more, right? Right. So the decrease, we always want to do an invisible decrease on amigurumi if we can. If we get in a really tight spot, let's say in the head or something, I'll go ahead and do a standard decrease because it's just, I can't get to the stitches, but nobody will notice that because there's no consistency and you're all the way at the end of the project. So an invisible decrease is just going through the front loop of 2 stitches, pulling it through, and then finish off your single crochet. So there's the decrease. Now we'll do 6 single crochet decrease. We're going to do 5 single crochet decrease. Then we're at 4, so we'll do 2 decrease, 4 single crochet decrease, 3 single crochet decrease. Okay, so I'm going to jump in here every so often and make sure you guys are still on track. But we've got 1, 2, 3 decrease. Decreases are very, very hard to see. You can always see an increase. You can count it. The decreases, it takes just it just takes years. It just takes practice of looking and seeing where that decrease is because you can see it kind of pulls it up a little bit. It's got a little bit more of a pull than the other ones do. So at this point, really focus because it's very hard to go back and fix your work. That's why we call it an invisible decrease, right? Because we don't want nobody to see it. So I'm just going to go ahead and pause you here. And we're doing 6, 5, 4, 3. I'm going to meet you at 3. All right? Don't forget on the even numbers to split them up. All right, we're back. 3 single crochet decrease, and here's what we got left. Let's go ahead and pull it. Let's get it stuffed. Try to get stuff out of our way. It's always better if you can just take your stuffing and kind of pull it apart like this before you get it in there. And remember, we've got those feet all the way down there, so make sure that you're getting what you need to get shoved in those legs. And then I will meet you back here once we're nice and stuffed. Okay, we're getting there. So when you're stuffing, make sure that you're pulling this up like this and really getting this up under the slip. For the longest time, I was making heads and they were always oval and I couldn't figure out why. And it's this little lip, like right there, that you need to tuck this in. You want this very tightly stuffed. And we are going to come back. We're going to go ahead and keep reducing and then adding every time we reduce. Just keep adding more in here if you need to add more in here. So we did 3. Now we're going to do 2 single crochet decrease. You don't want to crochet in your stuffing. It pulls out. It's very irritating because it comes out your project. So get your hands in here and protect yourself from grabbing that stuffing. When we're doing the 2 is an even number, you can do 1 single crochet decrease, or you can just do the 2. It really isn't going to make a difference at this point because we're so close to the end. Now, something else that I need you guys to remember, and it's very important, because when we make these one-piecers, and if you guys have made heads before, the bottom always seemed to be kind of stretched out. I don't even have anything to show you, but so when you are doing this, it is very important that you are crocheting super tight and you're holding these all together like this, and you're not getting that stretch that typically happens when you are at the bottom of the round ball or the bottom of the head. So make sure that you're holding this tight and you're getting it really tight so that it's not a stretchy stitch. And they usually look very stretchy when you're reducing like this. But I've just found if you keep it tight, hold your material where it's all together. Don't let it stretch. No, you can't even see that it was the actual bottom of the project versus the top, and it makes it so much easier because you don't do all this work and then sew a head on and then the head is crooked. And I just cannot say how many times I've done that and just like about cried because you do such a good job at sewing it in so the head doesn't come off and it doesn't stretch and nobody can see it, which also means you can't see it. So trying to get back in there and cut it and take it off is almost impossible without ruining the project. So again, my 2-year-old granddaughter gets all of my malfunctioned crochet toys, poor girl. And then we got another crochet. And these counts are not necessarily a big deal, right? Because we're just finishing things off. And now 1 single crochet, decrease around. I love that scratchy noise. My daughter hates it. I think it means you're crocheting tight. I like that. But to her, it's like nails on a chalkboard. So I make sure I do it really close to her to drive her nuts. Okay. This might not be the easiest thing to see here, and I may end up cutting this out. So if it looks weird, that's why. And then our decrease. And then we want to do decreases. We did single crochet. Let's do decreases all the way around. Now, this is a good time before it gets too tight to see if we need to see all this stuff that's not, like here, is not stuffed enough. So now we've got a little bit more strength in our head to go ahead and keep doing some stuffing. I found that I kind of go like this and make a hole, and that feels in on my face. And then I can put some more in. This, I didn't realize how important this was until all of my heads were oblong. And then you can also roll it a little like this to get the stitches. The crochet will do it for you if you will make that form. We crocheted the form, but we need to make sure that we're stuffing it the right way. And then kind of look how it's going to close. And right now I think we're looking pretty good on the stuffing. And some of them won't be stuffed as much. it's a super fine line, because if you overstuff, then your stitches get stretched, and then somebody can see your stuffing, and that doesn't look good. But then again, if you don't stuff it enough, you can have yourself a little bit of a wonky head, which I also have. I've done that probably. I do that more often than ever stretching. Okay, guys, we're almost there. Okay, and our last. So remember I was talking earlier, like for this, I've been doing the invisible decreases. No one's going to see this, so I can just go in, grab a loop, go in, grab a loop, which is a regular, not a, and then bring through. That's a regular decrease, not the invisible, but like no one's going to see that, right? Okay, so from here, we're going to go ahead and we can cut our yarn, pull this through, and we're going to make this look so good up top here. Going to get our needle. I love these needles for amigurumi, by the way. They are great because they're angled right here, and it really gives you the leverage to sew your stuff together. I love them. I really love them. Okay, now we're down to just this little hole, right? So we have 6 stitches left. That's it. We're just going to bring this yarn through the front loop of all 6 of these stitches, just the front loop. And I always know that this big one right here is always my 6th. And watch. We're going to suck it up. Oh, wow. Look at that. And see how tight that is? Because we were aware of it. We were conscious of what we were doing and keeping that tight. So now we just go ahead and weave in our ends. And look, it's perfect. It looks so nice. Nobody even knows that you did this, I would say, backwards. Usually you crochet the head, then you have to sew that's what the pattern is, and that's why it's kind of my interpretation, to make it a little bit easier, especially for beginners, or people who just, hate sewing the heads on. Okay, so we're going to do that. Then we're going to come back, and we're going to go ahead and stitch this in, our arm down, and I will do just a little bit, maybe just one here for you, so you guys kind of see how I do it. So I'm going to come from wherever. It doesn't matter where I come from. I want see how nice that hook just curls. Then I'm going to grab that stitch that I want here. Leave you a nice long tail. We can weave that in. Then come to the other stitch and go into the leg. You can come out right here, wherever you want. I don't know if I could make this any harder on myself here. Okay. Really, it's not that hard. I got my tail in there, okay? So now, just make sure you're going back into this, make sure you go back into this same hole here. And then you can come up and grab that stitch that you want. And then let's go ahead and go back down. Now, we know we're all the way around because here's the top where we actually single crocheted it into the body. I can go ahead and bring my needle all the way over here on this side and do the same thing on this side. And we're down here. Try to make sure you're coming out of a hole, not in between the stitches. Don't split any of the yarn if you can help it, because then it will kind of make a little booger there where you're trying to go back in. I'm sorry, this keeps getting out of the camera because I've got to move it around. Okay. There we are. Now we go ahead and again, we're just going to weave this in and out. Make this go back in the same hole you pulled it out of, or you'll see a little stitch there. And we're just kind of going around, getting that stuffing, and pull it tight. Snip it, and the little sucker will just suck right into that head. We have this beginning tail. Let's go ahead and same hole like this, and go ahead and weave this couple times. It really doesn't go anywhere once you do this. So that's nice. Go ahead and give it some love. Get out everything looking good. All right. So now we've got the base, the head, the body, and we got the base for every one of the animals. So now from this point, what you're going to do is go ahead and watch the next video of whichever animal that you are wanting to make. And then we'll go through that tutorial, and you'll be on a roll. So hope to see you guys